Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unnamed and Untamed. The trio is here, and we have a solo episode for you. We're all coaches that experience this, and that is not checking in when, for any reason, honestly.
Yes.
Sorry.
So here's the thing. You're catching off on an off moment. Meredith and I are like on one zone. But we wanted to talk about this basically because, well, we go through this with clients a lot where, we won't hear from a client for weeks and we reach out and it's still no word back. And then suddenly we hear something and it's like, hey, coach, I didn't want to check in because I wasn't tracking and I wasn't following my food, or I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing in my eyes or what I think you expect out of me. And so I just didn't show up. And I think one of the hardest things during that moment is not getting wrapped up in shame and guilt and remembering that as your coaches, we're here to help guide you through those rough waters. If it's always going to be the stars aligned and smooth sailing, you wouldn't need us, but we're here to help guide you in what to do and how to manage your newfound skills and how to exercise these new skills during times of chaos, during times of stress, during times of disarray inside of your life. And chances are we know how to make things work during these said times because we've done them and we use them daily with clients. So for example, I'm so busy this week, I haven't had time to prep. Well, as your coach, I have probably told hundreds of people a good plan and actions to take to make it more feasible to get it done. Where those might be things that you've never thought of, those are second nature items to me. So reaching out in those times where you're struggling is the perfect time to say, coach, I need you right now. What can I do? What should I do to feel successful during those times?
Yeah. And also not every time is going to be this elaborate scheme, of this protocol. And I think that that's important too, that sometimes just reaching out to your coach, it's an opportunity for us to say, hey, listen, take a second, just take a deep breath. We're going to be okay. And let's just kind of figure out what's urgent versus what's important. Not everything is urgent, life or death now, even though it feels life or death. And this is an opportunity time for us as coaches to say, hey, listen, this is important for us to work on now. This is what we can do for tomorrow. Yesterday happened. Let's just make tomorrow better. What can we do this week? So your life shifted, work has changed, your kid's schedule has changed, your husband's schedule has changed, and now your schedule has gone to shit. It doesn't have to be that way. We can figure out what we can do. It may not be perfect as what you may want, but I find that for us as coaches, long as we have effort, and long as we see effort, and long as we see some sort of an abundance mentality of being open to trying, dude, you won in my book. You absolutely won.
I totally agree. And think of it this way, let's say you messed up, right? Whatever that means to you, you went off plan and now you're stressed out the next day. What should I do? How should I approach this? You pay us for that. That is what you pay us to do. And like Meredith said, yes, we do want effort, but I rather, you reach out to me and let's troubleshoot than you continue to spin your wheels and end up going backward potentially when we could potentially put a pin in things. Let's say we're dieting, for example, let's just put a pin in it. Okay, life's crazy right now. Something happened. Let's put you on a diet break. Or, hey, let's go calories, protein, this week. Yeah. Or can you just track veggies? Whatever, wherever you're at, we're probably most likely going to meet you where you're at if you have a good coach.
Yeah. Give us the opportunity to set you up for success, because we always will. That's our job as a coach. That success may, depending, be, a little bit of a kick or a push. But if we see you struggling, and it is a legitimate struggle, but yet you are trying, because there's a huge difference when someone shows up and says, I can't and I won't, that is closed. That is, I can't do this. I won't do that. And you know what? You never will. And that is hard. Things are difficult. We all have challenges, but when someone comes to me and says, hey, Mare, I'm really trying, this isn't working, can you help me? Oh, fuck yes, I can help you. And I want to help you. I always want to make it happen and help you make it happen. It's funny. Something that we've talked about actually the other day as coaches is we often want it more for our clients than our clients want it for themselves. And I think that is something that most coaches, not all coaches, but most coaches, battle with, because we will find literally 7 ways to skin a cat. Like, it might not be the perfect protocol, the perfect setup, but as we all know here, Sonia has kids, like we're married, like life comes up. There is very rarely a day that is perfect, start to finish, where you write down, I woke up at 5 o'clock and I had my breakfast from 5 to 5:30. Then I went on my morning meditation walk for 30 minutes. And then butterflies, swung around my head 7 times to the left. I saw a shooting star over to the east. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. Like, that's not life. And we can't expect it to be that way. Instead, it's going to be like, a fucking squirrel ran out in front of my car, didn't know if it was going to go left or right. I swerved right, almost hit a tree. Then, a fox came out. Like, that's life. And, long as we can keep practicing to be prepared and show up every day, we know that we have to eat food every day. We know that. That is a fact. We know we have to drink our water every day. That is a fact. If something happens and we forget our food, that's a learning opportunity. 1, we can learn to be, better prepared the next day. What happened that made us forget? And then 2, shit, we forgot. Now what can we do? Where can we go? Is there a grocery store nearby? Is there packs of tuna, packs of chicken? Is there, some sort of a grocery store where there's an open deli where I can have a salad or, have a sub sandwich? Like, what can you do? And that's where learning comes into place. And that's where we kind of say that balance happens, and figuring out and then making the best choices. If you're on a gut protocol, like these girls know, if you're on a gut protocol and you're traveling, you can make it work. So saying that I can't do it, and so I'm just not going to check in. I'm just going to, forget all this. And, it was a bad week, coach. I'm going to miss this check-in. And then next week I'm on vacation. You're missing the opportunity of why you hired us, which is 1, either to push you out of your comfort zone, or 2, help you show up a little bit better each day. It may seem like you're taking baby steps, but that's what coaching is. Coaching isn't a one and done. It's not, at least for me, coaching isn't like, hey, sign on for 10, 12 weeks. I'm going to help you lose 30 pounds in 20 weeks. And then you're cured. That's not coaching to me.
I think too, another thing to remember is like a lot of times shame and guilt is kind of like what starts this cycle in the first place, where you can say, okay, what is actually like, why am I not moving forward with my overall goals, even before working with the coach? A lot of times we quote unquote fall off, and then we're like, screw it. Oh, we're not doing it. Or I made a mistake. Or we have a mindset around food and our relationship with food. So if I ate something quote unquote bad, therefore I am bad. Therefore I did a bad thing. I should feel guilty. The next day I'm going to earn it back or make it up to myself by doing massive cardio. Like these are unhealthy relationships with food. It's not a, like, even if we thought about our food relationship with a significant other, if I were to say, I did something to this person, and it's not bad, right? It's like, oh, I was like brushing my teeth and therefore like my partner got annoyed. So I need to like apologize to my partner and make it up to them. Your friends would be like, you're in a toxic relationship. You should be able to brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Think about that. Same thing with food.
Exactly.
You should be able to enjoy a couple bites of cake. You should be able to have a cookie. You should be able to eat rice or potatoes and not feel bad. Now, if you are eating a whole case of cookies, that's a different issue. If you're drinking a whole bottle of wine, that's an issue. So there's a time and place and there's context, but we had to start adopting a healthy relationship and mindset towards food. So we don't go through these patterns where we have one cookie and then we figured, fuck it. It's kind of like it's like saying, oh, well, I popped a tire, so I'm going to pop all my tires and we're just going to keep going. And then the next day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do massive amounts of spinning my wheels to make up for the popped tires. It's like, well, why don't we just pop a tire and then put something in it to seal a tire and then move on forward? There doesn't always need to be like damage control, and there doesn't always need to be jumping off a deep end, but a lot of times we're not in our right mind, and that's why you should lean on your coach. And like we've already kind of said, like the three of us, and we've gone over, is that like we have these tools in our back pocket for you to use. If you are not using them, it is on you. It's always really unfortunate when somebody's like, I'm not seeing success with a coach. And you're like, okay, well, are you listening to any of the tools your coach has given you? Have you let your coach know that you're struggling in any of these ways? Because that's also really important. If you need something more from your coach, it's on you to communicate. Hey, I'm really struggling with this. And let your coach know that you need more help in that area. Because I've also had clients that have been struggling silently. And if I don't bring it up, they don't bring it up, I'll never know. And there's 1,000 different scenarios that it can be like, for example, I have a client who's struggling with relationship stuff. And it was like, okay, I'm just having a hard week. And I was like, okay, great. Well, like, let's work through that. Let me know if there's like something I can do. I didn't dive into all the stuff with her. And for her, she was like, I can't believe you never asked. And I was like, well, if I don't know, if you don't tell me I don't know, I can't help you through those situations. So I know I kind of like rambled on a little bit there, but there's kind of like those different layers of like, hey, like one, like you need to identify your like toxicity towards like food and your relationship with food, but also you need to be very vocal with your coach so your coach can help you exactly the way that, we can help you.
Communication. I mean, that's seriously number one. Cause like you said, like, I mean, I've had similar things, and it's like, people say like something's going on and you say, like, let me know if I can help, here for you. But like, if you don't know the magnitude of something, like I might be pushing you harder than is okay right now, but I didn't know that because I didn't know the gravity of the situation, or that said, like the gravity of the situation for you. Because one thing you see as a coach is everyone handles things differently, and that's okay. But I kind of got to know how you're handling it. And then I think one thing too is, I mean, we touched on this already, but like this should be a learning experience, meaning like we don't always go to coach like with the same situations, same patterns. Like if that's happening, like then something is not clicking. And maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper as to like why.
Yeah, I think that you nailed it. Like when it comes to communication, because we only know what we know. And we can only set things up in the best way that we feel once, an intake has been done. And again, understanding that where you start or what was happening in your life, like say, month number 1, that is very much not how you are going to be month number 5 or month number 6. Like people change, people move, unfortunately there can be tragic events, emergency situations. And I find for myself, and we all 3 here have coaches, that those are the times where instead of running away from my coach, it's not so much that, if there is an emergency that I, need him to tell me, how to eat or what to drink. It's not about that, but it's nice to be able to check in with someone and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. And that way he does know, and he's not going to say, okay, well, he can make his adjustments based on number 1, what he knows is happening, emotionally with me, and physically, because we've all talked before, that stuff matters, when your sleep is affected, all these things will transcend, and we're not going to get into hormones and sleep and all that today, but that's why that communication piece really does matter. And, another example of that is every client needs different types of communication. And I know for myself and my clients, I know the girls here, I am very much pro someone saying, hey, Mary, let's get on a call. Because as much as I'm an online coach and the girls here are online coaches, I also understand the need for, human interaction. And a lot of times when we're writing, I've had this happen, especially with clients who are a little bit more emotionally charged and have emotionally charged stress in their lives. I can be writing in one, say, tone, and I'm feeling very happy and very playful, and like, yeah, girl. And it can be read in a little bit more of a polarized way. And it's come back, that someone, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And she took that as an insult. And I'm like, I told you you were awesome. I was like, I said that you crushed it. Like, these are positives. Like, I think you did great.
Yeah.
And she felt very offended. And you know what, we talked, and I completely understand, because in her world, there was a lot going on. And also her previous experiences with coaches, she was, very used to being told, essentially kind of made to feel like she was a liar. And that sucks. And so when it does come to communicating with a coach, understand we all communicate very differently. And that's why, like, I know we do through emails, we do through voice messaging, through Loom. But there's quite power to just jumping on a call to communicate with someone. And when there's an emergency happening, or like, I have a client who told me, I did not realize this. She told me yesterday, she was like, hey, Mare, I'm getting married on the 24th. That's literally in like 48 hours. And I'm like, what? And she was like, how do I, what do I need to do around that? I'm like, okay, for number one, you will not be tracking at all. Like, and so I asked her though, because this is important. I said, what do you want? What do you want your day to look like? What do you have planned the day before? What do you have planned the day after? Because I do have clients who will have family events, and they say, Mayor, you know what? I have a family event, but I don't like how, those foods make me feel. I don't want to drink. And so for me just to give them the directive of don't track, go do whatever you want, that's not helpful, because they're actually looking to me for guidance on how to communicate to their family or communicate to their friends on saying, hey, listen, you know what? I don't want alcohol. So that's why it is important to have those conversations, because it's either going to be me helping you navigate to do something, or maybe navigate because you don't want to do something. And above all, as a coach, we want to navigate to help you oh my gosh, we want to help you become the best version of you. And we want you to wake up tomorrow with no regrets, above and beyond.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing too, is there's going to be times where as a client or as a coach, I'm like, you know what? This is a great example. So I have a client and she's lost 5 pounds in 5 weeks and she feels amazing. She's like, I worked out in a sports bra for my first time ever the other day. Like, she is crushing her shit. And so she said to me, and when we did her intake, she was in tears because she has literally been trying to lose weight for years and never been successful, and like tried it, like, and she's getting married next year. And so she's like, I really just want to make sure that I have I forget exactly how she worded it, but basically that I'm able to do this, but still basically get to do everything I want to do as well. Yeah. Because what happened is she ate out twice this week and she drank 3 times and she still lost weight, which I will tell you is an anomaly. It won't continue to happen.
Yeah.
And I told her, well, while I want you to be able to enjoy life, and part of flexible dieting is to be able to enjoy food out with your friends. You have been doing that for the past 32 years. You've been enjoying life, having your cake and eating it too. So what is it to really give up to go up? Yeah. And learning to be more social outside of food and drinking is a tool. It's a flex, right? Yes. You got to exercise it. It's muscle. Go bowling, go for a hike, go do paint and sip classes, and don't sip on alcohol. Just have other like a diet soda or something like that. Get out, be active, Topgolf. Like, there's so many things you can do outside of eating a bunch of food and drinking that can be super social with your friends. You just have to learn those new habits and you have to kind of get it going. It's not going to accidentally happen. So sometimes you have to just say, now is not the time for you to be eating all of this. Now is the time for you to be a little bit more, quote unquote, restrictive, in the sense where it's like, we're honoring our body, what our body needs to lose weight. And we're not just enjoying all of the foods, because never are you going to find the perfect situation where you get to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, and you're going to have the body comp you want. It's just not going to happen like that.
Yeah.
So there's always that twofold of like, as a coach, sometimes it's like, I'm not going to co-sign that bullshit check. Sorry, you paid me to get you a result. So we're not going to be doing that. And then other times I have to go, it's okay to go enjoy the moment that you are going through right now, like being with your family, having your wedding, all those things. Like, so again, running that by your coach is huge. Cause then literally she wrote me back and she's like, oh my gosh, you're so right. That's such a great mindset change. I can't wait to try this. I was like, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing I've like, changed my verbiage on a little bit is like making it a lifestyle doesn't mean we necessarily maintain current lifestyle. Like it means we may need some overhaul in some area. The friend social thing, especially for like 20s, I would say, when you're like transitioning from like college friends to like, it's like weird. Like, what do we do now? And it can't, and if you're into fitness, like, I mean, we're lucky, like we're surrounded by, you know, people, or, you know, we just connect, you know, online, but sometimes it is hard. So like, I mean, that was a call I had with someone the other day, was like kind of navigating that.
Yeah, no, I find that is actually one of, I think the hardest things. And I think that, I know we're going to probably do a podcast on, you know, approaching the holidays, especially when I first start working with a client. I know we're kind of getting a little bit off here, but I think it is important because we actually talked a lot about this on that thing, Clubhouse, is boundaries, and that it's okay to have them. So we might want to revisit that like on a separate podcast, because I know that's something that a lot of the women in the Clubhouse were like, what?
Yeah.
And that's huge for my clients. I had a client like what you were saying there, Sarah, and she said, and it really resonated hard. And I was like, this is a pretty powerful moment. She said, you know, I was at this place and you know, I just said yes. And I said, I didn't even want it. I'm just so used to saying yes. So there's no, like no situation, there's no conflict. And then she said, I didn't want to make a scene, or it's kind of like that. I don't know if my dad's a little bit more of a senior, and I always ask him whenever he goes to the doctor, I'm like, so, you know, did you ask the doctor why? And he was like, well, no, I didn't want to, you know, my mom would always say, I don't want to ruffle her feathers. I'm like, Mom, that's her fucking job. Her job is to tell you why. So it's kind of like that being polite. Like my client was like, I caught myself saying yes, Mayor. And she was like, but at the same time inside, I was like, I don't want that. Like, why did I just say yes? I don't want this. And then she said, I realized then that I just say yes at a default all the time. So here again, you know, talking with your coach, and, you know, I think that a coach is more than just an accountability tool. I think we're, you know, yes, we give permission, but I think we give permission for you to have your own identity. And I think that a lot of people miss that. Is we always say, hey, well, what do you want? And I think that that is, you know, that other part of coaching is we're not saying, hey, you need to do this. Now, granted, that is a part of coaching. And sometimes we do need to have a firm fist and say, no, this is what you need to do now. This isn't what you want to do now, but if you want what you want, then we need to handle what you need. But the other part of coaching is giving you permission and asking you, what do you think you need? And what do you need right here in this situation? And letting you figure that out and work that out. And that can be a really empowering moment for a client. Like I had a client reach out. She was like, how do I navigate this? Here again, she reached out. How do I navigate this trip I have to go, you know, visit my dad? And I said, well, you know, what are the hangups? Where do you have trouble? And she wrote this whole paragraph. At the very end of the paragraph, she was like, well, I think I figured it out. I just need a plan. And I was like, yeah, you just need to plan for what that looks like. It could be making sure you have snacks on hand, you know, making sure that, you know, hey, if you're going to do a grocery store run, are you going to have meals with your family? Because you can. Let's just kind of plan for it. That way there's no stress and you're feeling that you're taken care of. So it really does come down, you know, to talking with your coach. And like for, I think Sarah and, you know, Sonia, you can probably talk to this when it even comes to like fertility, you know, and if you are having your period or not having your period, these are things that one your coach should be asking. But it is here again, if you're working on that, then you're going to need guidance, you know, long guidance, you know, to working to get to those goals. And it's not linear by any means.
Yeah. I mean, I see myself like as an advocate for my clients' health, and like in that role, like you guys too, like giving them the permission to go after these goals, like, or giving them just the security that like, hey, someone's there and we got your back kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like that security, and it's just empowering them that they can make choices.
And to wrap it back, that's why it hurts when someone ghosts you.
Yes.
As a coach, like that's why it hurts, because it's like, okay, like
Yeah, I've heard, it's funny. I don't know, I'll ask you guys, have you heard, this has come to my attention recently, and I'm sure I know the answer. I have heard some clients coming and saying that they haven't heard from their coach in over a month.
So
I haven't gotten that bad, but I'm not shocked also.
Isn't that sad?
I have a client that I just took on, and she ordered Dutch not years ago, like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. And her coach was like, this weekend I'm not available. This weekend I'm not available. This weekend I'm not available. It's like weekend, back to back. And it's like, she's just trying to get her Dutch review for us. And it's like, man, I just told her, hey, you know what? We just got to go to the, directly to Dutch and get your test results, and same thing with your GI map, because she's not able to hear back, and she's emailed and it's no response. And it's like, it's sad. And like, as a coach, I will tell you this, sometimes emails get missed. Like, for example, like I go to open one and then I don't respond or read it, and then it shows up as read. And like, and then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you sent this at 8 a.m. Like, I'm just seeing this now. Like, there's these one-offs as your coach. So
Yeah.
like, also kind of be realistic. Like I have Trainerize and I have Messenger on Trainerize. And sometimes like a message will come in and it doesn't show as a new message. It just comes in for whatever reason. If I look at it on my phone and I don't open it at the same time on my computer. So like, if your coach does not respond within an hour or two, like that's okay too. Like sometimes it can be like that, and sometimes there's backup. But if your coach is not responding for multiple days, I would, continuously email them first and be like, what is going on? Is there something I'm doing on my end? Or, look for a coach that meets those needs. I had a coach who was a very famous, not Jason. Jason's amazing. Jason's like super on it, I'm like, damn it, I need to like step my game up. But I had a coach before him, and like sometimes I wouldn't hear anything for like 4 or 5 days, and I'd have to be like, hey, did you get my email? And it would be like, sorry, that I didn't get it. And it was like always something. This was a funeral and I'm here and now I did. And it's like always something, but like every single time I checked in, and we were doing a seatbelt protocol, and that sucks. That sucks.
That's no good.
Yeah, that's no good.
I'll ask you guys, I'll tell you what mine is, and I'll ask you what yours is, just so our listeners can kind of know what to expect. And again, this is our opinions. There is no rules or regulation to response times. But I know for my clients, I always say, give me a 24-hour, I just put it a generic 24-hour response time. It has never taken me 24 hours. Generally, my clients know if it has been 24 hours and they haven't heard from me, message me again. I do use a coaching platform called Fee for Function. And like Sonia said, there can be a one-off, like a glitch in the system where it doesn't send me a notification, and someone will send me an email and they're like, hey, Mary, did you get my message? Or even I'll actually email a client or message a client, be like, hey, did you get my message? And random things happen, but I normally say, give me a 24-hour response time. Most of the time, my clients will get either way from an instant response to maybe like 5 hours, because, obviously we're not glued to our, our laptops.
Yeah. It does make a big difference.
Do y'all have the same for your clients?
I use Trainerize, but I miss things in there. And it's actually one of the reasons I'm looking at switching, because I thought it was going to be great. And like, I don't always see a message as new, or the way that it's set up. It's just like, it's very easy to miss things if you're not like at the end of the day going through everything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I have a 20, like I say same day response, but 90% of the time within 5 hours, unless you're late, whatever. But I use Google Sheets for everything. And I would say the only time I have an issue with that is sometimes if the person's like new to using it, they X out too soon, or it just, they duplicated the file, or something happens, but that's pretty rare. And that's usually like check-in number 1. Because I personally, like, I give people one missed check-in where I'll come after you like, hey, what's up? What, something happened, like you need another day. But after that, like, it's kind of on you. Cause in my mind, like I use WhatsApp. So like if something happened, like an emergency, like you're probably going to let me know within 24 hours, hey, something happened, just 5 words, 10 words.
Right. Yeah, I think that's important. I want to just like clarify that, folks, that it is literally 2021. And I don't care what system you use, whether it's email, whether you use Feed for Function, whether you use WhatsApp, you can literally message anybody with like an emoji. It takes literally seconds to message an emoji. When I've had, so for example, if I have a really heavy check-in day, which I have a couple of those, and say I get someone's labs in and they send me their Dutch, I will email them back and say, hey, listen, I got this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit longer for a response time because obviously I like to be thorough.
Mhm.
You guys like to be thorough, but I at least let them know, you know, I will do something. It takes 3 seconds to send an emoji, to send, hey coach, okay, I'm going to be late, or, hey, I'm going to miss, I have plenty of clients that say, hey, I'm going to be late on my check-in. Do you want me to send it tomorrow? And depending on the day, I'll be like, hey, yeah, awesome. Or I'll say, actually, could you send it this day instead? You know, it takes seconds. So I kind of feel like when someone says, they couldn't communicate, I can't get down with that. Like,
Yeah, I feel the same way because I have plenty of clients that do give me a heads up, and then I have ones that like I won't hear from for like a month.
So how I want to ask you, Sarah, and I'll ask you, Sonia, how many times, you touched on it a little bit, Sarah, how many times will you follow up with somebody if they haven't checked in? So if they miss one check-in,
yeah,
what will you do? And then if they continue to miss?
You miss a check-in, I'll come after you. Then if it's week 2 and I still haven't heard from you, if you're like a brand new client, I'll reach out again. If you're like a returning client and this is very out of character, like I usually do message again. I will say, and she might be listening to this, but I have one girl who we've been working together for a long time, and she did just miss 2 weeks like in a row. And I let her go because I knew she had life stuff and was traveling. So like, I'm not.
But you knew.
I knew.
Communicated.
Like, I knew. And like, but other than that, like, I'm not hounding you for months, like in a row. And I've had that. Like, I've had people like 2 weeks after like we onboarded, haven't heard from them. That's on you. Like, I know you watched my Loom video. Like, I know you know how to contact me. Like, I really, really hope something didn't happen where you cannot communicate to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to tell you. Or like we're working together and something happened, you overeat on your macros and you're ashamed about it. Like if I come after you 2 times, like, hey, whatever's happening, we can work through it. Like I can't help you anymore. And I just have to let it go after 2 weeks. It's not worth my time, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you're taking away from, if you're doing that, then you're taking away from the people that do really try no matter what.
Yeah. Sonia, what's your thing for missed check-ins or not communicating?
So I'll normally reach out. I'll send a message. I might send a text as well, kind of see where somebody's at. A lot of times it's a, hey, sorry, it's just been crazy. And then I'm like, hey, what's been going on? Like, check it out. But honestly, like, I'll give you 2 times, maybe 3. A lot of times the first, I'll get a response and then I'll say to them, hey, you know what? Let me help you. Here's a whole thing I will do for you. The frustrating part is when I just spent an hour and 2 hours doing a whole protocol for this person based on the challenges, and I send and I don't even get a response. That's really frustrating. It's hard to not put everything, like, we're not doing this job for the money. Yes, people pay a good amount of money to work with us. There's a buy-in, there's a cost. We work really hard. But I want to see my clients succeed. Like, I don't have a great day if my clients aren't winning. Call it codependent, whatever the fuck you want. Like, when they're winning, I'm winning. I love the job that I do. Like, I love the job that I do. It's why I do it. And it's always really hard when you put everything you can do for a person. You're like, let me help you. I want to do this. Awesome. I will build the perfect thing for you. I'm going to have you do exactly this. And I know that you said this was hard for you. So we're going to make these changes here. And you know what? Like, I want to make sure like we're this, and I know you don't like this. So we're going to time this, and we're just going to do this. And there's like, they don't even open the email. I have a client, I have a couple of clients who have paid me. If you're listening, I'm still here when you're ready, and we'll start when the minute you email me. Have never even done their intake for intake documents. And I'm like, we're 3 weeks in, and you know, time is money, but like, I can't start until I have the things that I need from you. And then they'll be like, I don't really know where I should be. And I'm like, well, I don't even know how much you weigh, so I can't even help you.
I've had that.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I want to help you. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to feel better. But what really hurts is when I put so much energy and effort into stuff, and then I get no response, or then it's like, I just don't think this is possible. And you're like, I've given you macros, I've given you a meal plan, I've given you stress management, I've given you books to read, I've given you a therapist, I've given you 4 hours of Zoom calls. I don't know what else to give you. At this point, it's a you thing, but I'm still feeling like I failed you. It's weird.
So I think that is another, like, I think what I really want everyone to hear is you have 3 coaches here, and I can literally list out many more. And this is what's awesome. I got to say, I am sheltered coach, because I have only ever met and dealt with bomb ass coaches who I respect and who literally intimidate the shit out of me. So I am not the coach to talk to you when it comes to talking to like smack talk, because literally it's like, you know, I see like Jesus like beams whenever I, you know, and amongst these coaches that, you know, Sonia and Sarah and some others, these are coaches that legitimately want it for you, again, worse than you probably want it for yourself. And what Sonia said, and what, like, you know, Sarah said, what I've said is, all we want, and all any coach, any good coach should want, is if you are overwhelmed, number one, communicate with us. Because if we set out this most redonkulous protocol, and we are just like, you know, our nerd glasses are on, and we're like, yes, fuck yes, but you are like, holy shit, and you are overwhelmed, let us back up. Let us back up. Talk. We'll just put the beep things on, and, you know, large load backing up, and we will go to, let's hit calories.
Yeah.
Let's hit our protein. And you know what? And I don't mean to demean it, and I don't want it to come across as I'm demeaning those, because those are not. Those are huge. When you have a shit ton of life happening at you, when you're dealing with death in your family, you're dealing with people in the hospital, you're wondering where your next, you know, paycheck is coming from. Let me tell you, eating 4 times a day and just having protein the size of, you know, your palm in each meal, win. I'm talking like, I want fireworks going off. But give us the opportunity, communicate with us. Don't just say, because like what Sonia said, it has happened to me. Someone's come in, I am very open when I'm on an intake call. I say, listen, this is what I see. This is what I hear. This is what I think we should do. Because I want them to know, not to scare them, but I want them to know, when they tell me they're wanting, you know, gut health, hormone health, and I really see how bad things are, I'm like, okay, well, we can get you there, but this is what it's going to take in an ideal setting. But if that is not ideal for you and you aren't ready for that, well, then let's get you ready. It's just, it's going to take a lot longer, you know? And if you're able to adhere better to something that's going to take longer, well, then that's winning. But we need communication, and that's where checking in with your coach is so super important, so we can navigate. Yeah.
I think too, like, and you know, we can beat a dead horse. I mean, a million times over, it's like, yes, with each and every one that's said. It's like, we are here to coach you to the results that you want. We're not here to punish you. We're not here to make less of you. We're not here to scare you into changing, or knock the cookie out of your hand. You know, we're here to coach you into greatness and to change your behavior. And we're here to get you healthier. And we're here because we really care. And so, you know, if we're your coach and you're listening, hopefully that sits like heavy on your heart in a good way. And if we're not your coach and you're listening, I can almost guarantee that you are probably working with a coach that feels the same way. No one goes into this industry because they want to make a lot of money.
No,
You can
no.
make money in this industry for sure, but it's like we're working, and it is a passion for a lot of us. And so like, give us the opportunity, give your coach the opportunity, lean into them and let them know, what you need from them. Just like any good relationship, you can expect your boyfriend or your girlfriend to know exactly how to meet your needs if you've never told them what's needed. So, I mean, like I said, it's like, if you're working with us, like check in, be on top of your check-ins, let us know. And if you're not, do the same exact thing to your coach.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, I always get a question, and this kind of goes in with like communication. I always get a question about how long someone should have a coach. And something I always tell my clients is, some people always say, my job as a coach is to make it so you don't need a coach anymore, which I totally get. But I also think that there is a really cool opportunity having a coach to help, number one, and this comes back to making sure you check in. And again, check in, tee up, whatever you want to call it, because you change and you should be evolving. And we either one are going to kind of hold you accountable for that every single day, or we're going to help you navigate. And I think that again comes down to not all goals are going to be so stationary. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to do fat loss phase for, 8 weeks. And then that's that. Like, and then what, and that's where that communication piece has to come in. And I think that's why it is so important to do your routine check-ins, because we have an idea of, okay, we have a plan. This plan is going to go for ideally X number of weeks. We think things could come up, but this is the opportunity through communication and check-ins that we may need to navigate. Like Sarah said, like, we can have you in fat loss phase, but if it's not serving, like we're 4 weeks in and something major has happened, well, then there's no harm and there's no failure in saying this doesn't serve right now. But here again, that's when that check-in is so important, where the coach can say, hey, listen, I'm reading this feedback from you. Tell me a little bit more about that. What else is going on, so we can help, make some different, changes for you, and we can keep you progressing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you said, like, I think it comes down to the goal, what your goal is as far as like how long you're working with a coach, but then understanding that your goals evolve as you do. And I think as you get into it more, you start to see that, like, I think clients start to see the long game in this. So I think it really just, it depends,
And the
but
more communication, the better.
Yeah. And know that like 12 weeks is going to fly.
Yeah.
6 months is going to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think staying in it, like right now, Sarah, like when's the last time you were in quote? I think people only think that the phases that matter are the ones like fat loss phase or like a gut health phase, but like, you're in a growing phase right now. Like you're essentially, healthy. You've worked through a gut protocol. You've gotten your cycle back, in case people didn't know and didn't, hear that. And you've been in a growing phase, for how long now?
2 years. A little over. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, has there been times during that time where you felt like you were stagnant?
No.
There you go.
Like, I feel like I'm always progressing in some way, or something comes up, or something that I've never dealt with comes up, like the gut stuff.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, I think a lot of people think that coaching is only for, these fat loss phases, but like, she has been in a growth phase for 2 years. Like, I know I dieted for, it's been 2.5 years. And in 2.5 years, I dieted for 8 weeks. And so essentially I've been in a growth phase as well. And there's been nothing stagnant. Like, I literally just want to keep growing and, keep checking in with my coach and making sure I am on point. And when he feels that, hey, Mare, let's do a little, a mini cut or a little cleanup. Let's get, make sure the insulin sensitivity is good. Then we do that. But, he's actually, here again, my feedback, I was like, yeah, great. And then he was like, Mare, when's the last time you just took a little bit of a break? Like, you have been grinding for so long, and like, he had me check my shit, and he was like, just make sure that you're putting work down sometimes. And he says, I know it's hard for you, because he read in there that I was having a hard time leaving work to get my training in, because I felt guilt, and so he was able to guide me and say, hey, Mary, I get it. Let's do this. Make sure, you have this. This is something that I battle here. But he wouldn't have been able to guide me through that unless I had been communicating with him. So communicating is not always, what you think of as giving a protocol or something like that. It can literally be just checking in with you as a person.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Totally.
yeah.
Love it.
Okay, kids.
Okay.
That's
You want to call it at that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was a good one. I'm really, I hope that if anyone, your takeaway is just communicate well with your coach, communicate what you need, understand that what you need and want, you are hiring a coach to help you guide there with her or his expertise. Sometimes it may be things that you like. Sometimes it may be things you don't like. It might be things you're uncomfortable, but that is the job of a coach, is to challenge you as well as empower you for your goals. So on that note,
love it.
Until next time. Bye, guys.